welcome to the Shutter Sports Refresh, the weekly show that breaks down all of the biggest news in sports. I'm your host, Lucky Roberts, and let's get right into it. The biggest news of the week comes from the hockey world as the Four Nations Face-Off wrapped up on Thursday. The Four Nations Face-Off was the NHL's replacement for the All-Star Weekend. It featured four top countries in the world: Sweden, Finland, Canada, and America. They played a round robin and then a final with the top two teams. Two teams that ended up being in the finals was Canada and America. America had beaten Canada in the round robin matchup, which we talked about last week with all the crazy fights. Canada ended up winning the game when it mattered, though, in overtime, as Connor McDavid scored the game-winning goal for Canada 3-2. A golden goal for Connor McDavid. Since 2010, there hasn't been a lot of best-on-best matchups in hockey. This was one of them, and Canada once again gets a golden goal. Canada's goalie Jordan Binnington made some fantastic saves down the stretch as the Hockey Nation took home the first ever Four Nation Face-Off trophy. With all the political battles going between Canada and America right now, this win served as a proud moment for the Canadians. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau even tweeted, "You can't take our country and you can't take our game." NHL players aren't allowed to play in the Olympics, so the Four Nations Face-Off was a cool way to see the best players in the world represent their countries. Plans are being made so that Face-Off will go down every 4 years, and we can't wait to see the next one. While we're on the topic of hockey, let's give a quick standings recap of the NHL. In the Atlantic Division, the Toronto Maple Leafs are still on top, but the Detroit Red Wings and the Tampa Bay Lightning are both on hot streaks. The Red Wings have gone 8-1-1 in their last 10, and the Lightning are now on a 5-game winning streak. In the Metropolitan Division, the Washington Capitals have taken over and control of the division, now leading by a whopping 14 points. Their top player, Alexander Ovechkin, is now just 12 goals away from breaking the NHL's all-time scoring record. The Winnipeg Jets have a similar lead in the Central Division with a record of 40, 14-3, and a 9-game winning streak to their name. In the Pacific Division, the Vegas Golden Knights are still in the lead, but the Edmonton Oilers are hot on their tail. As the regular season is in its final half, the playoff standings are starting to become way more important, and so definitely stay tuned in the next coming weeks. In soccer, the Champions League playoffs has finished another round, and they are on to the round of 16 now. On Tuesday and Wednesday, the knockout matches all played their second of 2 games, the winner in an aggregate score moving on to the final round of 16. Here's a breakdown of what happened. Milan and Feyenoord tied their game 1-1, but Feyenoord took the aggregate win 2-1 with the win earlier on 2 weeks ago. Benfica and Monaco also tied their game, and Benfica takes the aggregate win 4-3. Club Brugge beat Atalanta 3-1, taking the aggregate score 5-2 in the series. Bayern Munich and Celtic tied their second game 1-1, but Bayern won the first game 1-0, which means they took the aggregate score win 2-1. Bayern is quite the powerhouse, so surprising that the series was so close. Dortmund beat Sporting CP with an aggregate of 3-0. Also, in a matchup of two powerhouses, Real Madrid defeated Man City in both games with an aggregate score and win of 6-3. PSG absolutely demolished Brest with an aggregate of 10-0. Crazy. And finally, despite losing their last game, PSV defeated Juventus in Game 2 for a win of 4-3. Moving on to the round of 16 now are those 8 winners and 8 teams that got a bye earlier. The round of 16 is also played on 2 legs, again with the aggregate score winners moving on. Those games start next Tuesday on March 4th, so tune back for the refresh to see what happens then. For our last piece of news this week, we have some life in the baseball scene. MLB spring training has started up, which is essentially baseball's preseason. These games will go on for a few weeks until the regular season kicks off on March 18th. That will do it for this week's Shutter Sports Refresh. I've been your host, Lucky Roberts, and I hope you learned something today. Check me out on social media as well as Shutter Sports Media and the writer for this episode, Finn Noel. Thank you for watching.